I see the light everywhere I go. I see the light that'll lead me home.
Check the quote and cut the check. Out of respect for those breaking their necks, you don't have to invest. But you have to understand this is a job for me. It ain't a hobby, B. It ain't like I'm playing lottery. If you consume what I've created, there's a cost associated. I ain't asking for the earth, I'm simply asking for what I'm worth. The nerve of those concerned with amassing many hits. Digital slaves get lashed by the master's many whips. They monetize in ad space, sit back and count the clicks, throw it all against the wall just to see if something sticks, recording every moment to get the most from every quip. But how many clicks could a single penny get? Well, it depends on if the penny pinchers even had the sense to know the difference between that which is significant. We get it. It's still kinetic, not pathetic. It's real.
What up, dude?
What's up, man?
Thank you for coming, man.
I mean, you know,
I
this
see
is
you,
great,
Philly.
man. I feel this is one of those rooms where you feel like you have to say something a little bit more important because the ceilings are high.
Yes.
And so it has the cathedral kind of feel to you. So you feel like, you know, you feel like you need some doxology in everything you say. You
I
know?
like, that's what we're going for. That's
I'm
why
here.
you-
I'm
that's
here,
why
man.
you- How are you doing?
I'm tired.
Yeah. A good tired?
I'm the kind of tired where I know I'm like near capacity.
Okay.
And that feels good.
Yeah.
Not exhausted, not overworked, but tired.
Yeah.
Which means I've been using the things that I have, and that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
I started my day really, really early. I'm gonna end my day really, really late. But at no point during the day have I done anything that I don't think I was uniquely positioned to do. And I haven't done anything that I haven't enjoyed today. But I'm tired.
I like it.
Yeah, but I feel good though.
Speaking of, what season of life are you in?
Good question. You know, I'm recently out here where the sun is a little bit different. And so seasons for me were always predicated on the 4 seasons I grew up with. And so what I would typically do around this time of year is I would start getting excited about the thing I was going to develop or sharpen or hone or, you know, some see this time of year as like a hibernating kind of space. And what I would do is this is when I, you know, did my reading or I learned to DJ or I, you know, so that when spring came out, I could blossom with a new talent.
Every year?
Every year. I think I'm in a different place this year during this season where I'm going back to talents that I've already placed squarely in my utility belt, and I'm trying to spend more time making sure that they get along with each other or that they can support each other.
Yeah.
So the season now, it's, I believe it to be a harvest, but I'm trying to make sure my baskets are lined so that what I put in the baskets doesn't fall through.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So I'm going back to those big barrels and wicker, you know, like I picture in my mind like the apple orchard baskets, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to line them before I continue in this harvest so that everything that I get is accessible.
Speaking of your talents, I want to read something.
Uh-oh.
An actor,
Yeah.
a screenwriter,
Yeah.
a producer, a DJ, 2 decades in the entertainment industry, founded the production company Listen to Me, sought after and worked with global brands, Wonderland Records, Reddit, Apple Music, the History Channel, the On Purpose Movement, the Thurgood Marshall College Fund, Urban One, Vivo, CNN. I'm gonna stop reading. That is a high level of achievement, a high level of success. There's always a cost.
Yeah.
What was your invisible cost to achieve on that level?
First of all, it's really interesting to hear that. You know, I cook. You know what I'm saying? Like I just like to cook. And it takes different moods to, you know, to make different foods. And I don't always know what's in the refrigerator, but like whatever in there, like I can make something out of it.
Yeah.
So looking backwards, it's almost like you're reading me a list of ingredients for things that I've cooked, and it's just hearing it is really cool. You know, when I think about some of the things that it might have cost me to get those things to be at those places. It cost me time. And it also cost me moments of pride. Because while you list those brands, and they're all brands that led to the founding of my production company, who now I can take back to some of those same brands who saw me in a different utility.
Wow.
And approach them with different proposals. They might have seen me as the stage manager, or they might have seen me as the host. They might not know that I could DJ, or they might have seen me as just a talent wrangler. You know, no shade to talent wrangler. I shouldn't say just, but as a talent wrangler.
Yeah.
I've worked with all those brands, but I've had to revisit them in different capacities as my capacity grew.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I can think about times being on stage as a stage manager for my sister, Janelle Monáe, doing shows in LA, huge, amazing shows where I'm responsible for taking everything off the truck, putting it on stage, putting up the show, and getting everything back on the truck. A laudable, admirable job. But then everybody that I would like to talk to about the other hats I wear that they don't know I wear is walking backstage to go kick it. I'm staying on stage because I gotta unplug the stuff and do the thing. And there were moments when I had to determine, like, do I want to meet this person in this capacity? Do I want, the first time that Donald or Issa or whoever walks by me, do I want them to see me as the stage manager? Pride get in the way there? Or do I wait until I'm introduced to them in a room where I don't have to introduce myself? And those moments cost me time. There were moments of indecision where I was neither doing what I was there to do, nor was I big upping myself to what I wanted to do. And you know, pride took a hit during those moments.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Speaking of, we talk about the successes.
Yeah.
We talk about we're great at showing the highlight reel.
Absolutely.
What is your greatest failure and why was it your greatest failure?
I don't know if I've had my greatest failure yet, because some of the things that I reach for are just beyond my grasp. And so I think there will be some more losses and more wins coming.
Yeah.
But you know, there was a period circa 2004 or 5 when I knew that at its root, my entertainment acumen was based in acting. And I knew I wanted to be peered amongst other actors in a way that would speak for itself. And so I wanted to go on to secondary education to get a postgraduate degree. And I applied for a program at NYU Tish's program.
Okay.
And you couldn't tell me I wasn't gonna get in, because I mean, I was the baddest dude I thought I knew at the time. And I went through all the stages that I needed to. I went through the program's application process. I presented, I visited, I toured. And on the last day, right before they were getting ready to choose the incoming class, I had one of the professors come to me and pull me to the side and say, "You are amazingly talented, but you're not ready for this." And if the class was similarly as unready as you are, then we could bring in curriculum to help, you know, support everybody that we want to admit. But you're actually not ready. And I had not been told that before. I hadn't been told that I wasn't good enough. And that was a failure that smacked me in my face. I found out on April Fool's Day too. So that was that was a little tough. It was a voicemail, and I was like, "No, I'm good. This is the 404 is my, you know." But I didn't get in, and it crushed me.
Yeah. But
that failure led to me writing my own one-man show. That failure led to me bringing in other folks who were talented, and perhaps in those capacities in which they filled might have been denied. They might not have been allowed to be the tour manager or the PR manager for that tour had they applied for larger roles. But we all sort of took the energy of what was perceived as my failure at that time and built something that I now still can reference back, and that means way more to me than the failure did.
Where do you pull from to be smacked at one of the pinnacle moments of your life? Where do you pull from to go, let me go create?
Yeah, I mean, you've heard me say it before. I say it all the time. Even if you weren't watching, I'd be doing this anyway.
Yes.
Right? And that's my mantra. And for me, what that means is that the things that I ultimately want to use to provide for my family, to maintain my well-being, but also to keep my phone and my lights on.
Yep.
I want those things to be the things that I will be doing, even if you weren't watching them, even if you weren't patronizing them, even if they weren't commodifiable, even if they couldn't be sold or published. These are the things that would make me happy if money wasn't a factor, if time wasn't a factor. So when it comes to pulling from spaces where I can create and distribute product publicly, I still pull from that same kid that was laying on the red carpet on Brookview Drive in Voorhees, New Jersey, staring at the crack in the wall until it looks like the Tigris or Euphrates River.
Yeah.
Like, I still go into my closet, as it were, and I dream and I imagine. And from there, I pick apart the pieces of it that I know how to do. And along the way, I'm willing to bring other people in to fill in the gaps that I can't close myself. So I pull from my imagination and I pull from my community. You know, I pull from moments like this. I pull from conversations like this.
Yeah.
That literally inspires me. And I think it's also because I have had a modicum of success that I believe I can do the thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah.
You know, you might not remember the exact recipe, but like you might remember an aspect of it that will inspire you to go back to create again.
Yes.
And I just think it's just a constant cycle. Literally, even if you weren't watching, I'd be doing this anyway. On the way over here, I was going through a project that I'll tell you about also. It's gonna be fire. And it's based upon me being an only child.
Mm.
And when that comes out, people are gonna be like, where'd that come from? Well, I'm an only child. That's where it came from.
Yeah.
You know, I don't pull from stuff that I don't have access to. I pull from my own, my lived experience and from my community.
Yeah. In that same place, what is a weakness of yours that you know, if you don't account for, has the ability to jeopardize every part of your life? We live in this culture where, and I think we're just starting to get to a place where we want to go deeper, besides the highlights, besides the success, besides the public viewing. What is that? What is one of your weaknesses that I have to account for this?
Cold Reese's peanut butter cups.
Get off.
If you put a cold Reese's peanut butter cup in front of me right now, I will end this. No. True story. I don't like to learn things in front of people.
Wow.
And I realized that when I went to school and there was this gathering of young, aggressive, danceable energy, and it was called Market Friday, and the Cali boys would come out and they'd sea walk, and the East Coast cats would, heel toe, and the Dallas cats would South Side, and whatever the dance was, I would take it back to my dorm and learn it. I never wanted to I didn't want you to see me doing that.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what that was till later on in life, right? Because as an actor, you go through rehearsals. You might try a dialect you've never tried before. You know, all these things in production, right?
Yeah.
And I recognized that what was the problem was my willingness to be publicly vulnerable.
Wow.
I couldn't make a mistake in front of people. Mm-hmm. You can't see me make this mistake. Mm-hmm. And on the flip side of it, you can't see a success that I've had, that I've been working on a long time, and perhaps believe you think I should be beyond by now, and not celebrate it the way that I should. Mm-hmm. And then as an actor, you've got to strip all that down and be completely vulnerable, because what we want to see in motion pictures is we want to see you live the moment. We want to see you cry. Mm-hmm. We want to see the part of you that is represented in this verisimilitude. We want to see that. Mm-hmm. And when I recognize that my lack of vulnerability and my, not inability, but my fear of sharing the parts of me that were not whole, complete, double-spaced, spell-checked, mm-hmm. and laminated, mm-hmm. that kept me from having experiences that were shared. And if I, even now, as well as I can articulate that experience, mm-hmm. because it is a continued experience, if I don't get a hold of that or know that before I go into a new situation, a new interview, a new workout class, a new writing session, a new whatever, I will pervert the experience for myself. And ultimately what I'm supposed to bring to those that are with me, I'll pervert it for them as well, because I won't be able to give the thing that they need that I was there to provide. Wow. So really it comes down to my ability to find ways to feel comfortable in my vulnerability.
It's interesting because I feel like as a culture, it feels like we're in that place.
Yeah.
We've taken away the power to learn from the vulnerability.
Well, because you get shot down for it. You get. I mean, the first thing somebody wants to do is thumbs down you,
Right.
or tell you that that you messed up. Everybody's waiting to tell you that's spelled wrong, or to tell you that that's not to fact check you.
Yeah.
And so it's cyclical. There's a reason for it.
Yeah.
Still a weakness that I want to surmount.
I love
you
that.
know?
Yeah. As you've evolved, as you've gone through stages, have you had to redefine success? As I've grown, I still have some of the same success measures, the weight, the how.
Yeah.
Some of that's out of my control. But how are your success measures evolving?
Yeah. Well, I mean, with the Panasonic, success was survival, right? And so that changed a lot of things. Having a child, success is getting home, right? So that might cause you to end conversations or conflicts differently than you would have before. That might cause you to come back from that road trip quicker than you would before, because success is walking in and seeing your daughter say, Papa, and knowing you made it home and you brought the bag with you, right? But I think that success right now for me, because I know that I'm still evolving and I have not yet reached my greatest thing, and many say it doesn't happen till you pass anyway, so for whatever that's worth, success for me is knowing that at the end of an individual project that I can do another one, that I can try something else, that I've maintained the reputation and the relationships and the trust to be able to take another huge step and take another huge chance. I won't say I'm risk averse.
I totally understand.
You know what I'm
that.
saying?
Yeah.
But I do want to go into the next situation knowing that the likelihood of it succeeding is favorable, right? So to me, success is the ability to be able to continue on to the next project. And that's sort of a personal thing. I think widely the idea of a collective success has everything to do with holding on to the virtues, the code of ethics, the values, the promises, and the goals that I've set up within my family and community. And those things can be measured and really kind of ticked off the list. But you don't always need that list. You can feel it. You know by response, whether or not things have been successful. And it's funny to even think about identifying whether or not I've been successful or what I think success is outside of those tenets, outside of those, the core values, and outside of the opportunity to try again. Because my goal is not always to be successful. It's typically to be happy. Because you can be happy even before success happens. You can be happy in the journey. They call it fishing. They don't call it catching.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like be happy sitting there fishing.
Yeah.
If you were just only going to be happy with the catching, then you probably won't do a lot of fishing.
Well, wow, that's a bar. I recently was going through that, where in my personal work, my therapist talking to me, if you aren't at peace and having enjoyment now,
come on, bro.
If you think you're gonna get that when you get that, that's not gonna happen. It's always
gonna be something else every time.
It's always
we hear what's next.
Yeah.
Well, what's over that mountain?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I totally get it. And one of the things that my wife and I do is we celebrate everything.
Yes. I love it, by the way.
Everything.
Yes.
Like on the way to the thing, let's celebrate that we're on the way to the thing. I think it's important to do that because you create a culture, not only for your offspring, right? But you create a culture that when you cannot remember to celebrate the success along the way, he or she with whom you've gotten to that point will remind you of the thing that you're supposed to do as a collective, right? And so, we share that in that same way. And then we share the success.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
As of now, what will the legacy of 2.0 be?
It's interesting. Something happened to me on my last birthday that surprised me.
Okay.
a bunch of my friends sent me messages, and the main thing they focused on was not like any commercial success or career success or any outward aesthetic sort of trappings that most people would associate success with. They credited me with being a really good friend. And they were all very specific in the fact that even when they had not responded in the way that they should have, or picked up phones or reached out, et cetera, they knew that I was continuing to maintain that friendship. And like nearly everybody said that. And I recognized that that was something that was very important to me, but I did not know how to communicate it or to quantify it. I didn't even know how to find out whether or not I was, you don't, am I being a good friend? Like, yeah, sure you are. I don't know, get off my phone. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Be a good friend, leave me alone. You know what I mean? But to have people say that, you know, we talk about like getting your roses before, you know, you leave, but like, that was enough for me. To know that I left meaningful relationships and that I cherished meaningful connections with people, despite the times that I'm spending in the room staring at the walls, and you know, despite all the even if you weren't watchings and the things that I'm spending my time with, that I still was finding time to connect with people on a personal level that meant more to them than whatever I would check boxes as success. That's legacy to me. I mean, yeah, I want the awards, I want the trophies, I want the bag to sit there for my child. Right, I want my wife's participation, and even in her corporations with I want all these things. But to have people say that you meant something to them, and that they know you cherish them, and to identify it while you can still hear it, I know that that is already my legacy. So I'm already on house money. Like I'm already good. You know what I mean? Like as long as I continue that, then I can continue to play in the areas that are important to me, that are not necessarily certainly going to happen in the way that I would want them to. This has already happened. I'm good there, you know?
I appreciate you, G.
Man, I appreciate you too, bro.
Thanks for coming, man. I love it.
My dude, I love it.